What's happening, guys? Chris VA Travels. I'm down here in Mechanicsville, about 10 miles northeast of Richmond, and visiting the Shelton House, family home of Patrick Henry's wife, Sarah Shelton. They actually got married inside. And also the site of the TOTOPOTOMOY Creek battlefield. I'm going to walk that as well. And to let you know, the house is open for tours on the weekends through the summer, 12 until 3. So yeah, check this place out. All right, yeah, I have some time to kill before the tour. So I'm gonna check out some plaques and switch my sunglasses. I feel like these fit my face better. All right, so coming in, yeah, Battle of TOTOPOTOMOY Creek. And you can pause and read. But yeah, it's squeezed in, kind of like just a really big skirmish, I guess, between the Battle of North Anna River and Cold Harbor, just on the heels of Cold Harbor. And yeah, eventually ended up down there in Petersburg. This is part of the Richmond National Battlefield Park. And it looks like it manages 13 sites and several more to look at. I've been to Tredegar. But yeah, Chimborazo, I need to go down there. Fort Harrison, cool mansard roof on this thing. Glendale at Malvern Hill. All right, so maybe later this summer. Oh, Grant's Head, yeah, I need to get down to City Point as well. Yeah, that's a must. But yeah, last plaque over here. I'll let you pause and read. But yeah, there's a 2-mile hiking trail. It takes you down to across the river where you can visit the Confederate earthworks. And there's a little cemetery. So a little bit to see Union earthworks. And here's an old sketch. And these are the Cohorn mortars, and they position these right by the house. And while researching, I had read there were 27 cannons behind the house. And yeah, several mortars. And there's a road sign over there. Maybe I'll walk. I've got about a half an hour to kill, so. And we're off Route 606 Studley Road. There's the sign right there, Richmond National Battlefield Park, TOTOPOTOMOY Creek. Yeah, I'm gonna take a wild guess, and I'm pretty sure that's gonna be named after a local Native American tribe. Yeah, you can roll that around on your tongue for a while, TOTOPOTOMOY, and I'm sure it's part of the Powhatan Confederation. Let's see what this is. Oh, all right, well, this is gonna tell me right here. 1656, TOTOPOTOMOY, chief of the Paw Monkey Indians, faithful ally of the British, killed during a bloody battle near Richmond. I guess they changed the spelling. There's a Y at the end now, but yeah. And this thing was erected 1932. Yeah, some of these markers go way back. Road to the Revolution. So, oh, that's gonna have to deal with Patrick Henry, I'm sure. All right, so yeah, there's the house. That magnolia is in full bloom, looking good. But let me make my way over and look at this way marker. Okay, Road to the Revolution Heritage Trail, and here's some of the sites. All right, I've been to a couple of these. Hanover Tavern. I'm gonna see if I can get over to Pine Slash today. I'm gonna ask about that once they open. But I need to get to St. John's Church. I've been to Scotchtown. I've been to Red Hill Plantation. Sketching here by artist Alfred Wad. It says he's a famed Civil War artist. I guess they didn't have very high standards back then, but anyway, it shows that the house looks pretty much as it does now. The house has been remodeled to look as it did May of 1864. Yes, it talks about how Patrick and Sarah married here in 1754, and afterward they moved into their honeymoon portion of the property that was broken off. They moved into a house called Pine Slash. Like I say, I'm going to see if I can get to that. Oh, all right. So big sycamore right here. Another plaque. And quite an assortment of trees. Looks like we've got a pecan tree. Well, looks like a pretty good painting right here. And yeah, this is the signal flag right here. Union soldiers had climbed on top, and they signaled the artillery, just letting them know the Confederates' position. And the Confederates started pegging this thing, and they nailed it 51 times. Oh, wow. It's a pretty good painting. Looks like Walter Shelton, age 14, later recalled, when a shell would strike the chimney, the dust and soot in the basement would be so great that they could hardly breathe. Wow, shells exploded upstairs, setting fires that were extinguished by Union soldiers. And it says damage in the attic is still visible, so hopefully I get to see that. But the house, which had stood since approximately 725, it survived. Shelton descendants continued to live here for 140 years. Altogether, there were 7 generations of Sheltons that lived here up until 2006, when it was transferred over to the Park Service. And they just remodeled this thing, I think about 4 years ago. So it's in pretty good shape. I see the gambrel roof up there. And yeah, let me just go ahead and walk around. So the first to settle the property was a John Shelton, and the first 3 generations were all named John Shelton. And Sarah Shelton, the one who married Patrick Henry, she was the daughter of the second John Shelton that lived here. And then the Sarah Shelton who hid in the basement during the Battle of, another marker back there, TOTOPOTOMOY Creek. Yeah, she was the wife of 4th generation Edwin Shelton. Okay, it looks like they patched something up right there. And yeah, Flemish bond as always, brickwork. And yeah, just a modest, well, a little bit nicer than modest home from the time. A little shed right there. Let me take a step back, but the back looks pretty much almost exactly like the front. Just the porch is a little bit different. Again, they think it was built 1725, and that's after doing some archaeology work. But 1785, there were major alterations. And then in the 1830s, there were more alterations. I could also tell you 1837, this was used as a female boarding school. And are these bullet marks? Kind of weird how they're all kind of just centered in that one area, but you can kind of see them going across. That's what they are. Oh, bunch up there too. All right, guys, they're open. Check it out. Made it inside. Just gonna browse around. I'm gonna hop in this room first. Some really old wallpaper and showing you what the wall looked like before. Oh, all right. So behind the plaster, okay, talking about how when it was a school for young ladies, 1837 until 1845. All right, so they taught grammar, history, philosophy, botany, needlework. It says seeing a need for patriotic, educated citizenry. Early American leaders such as Benjamin Rush championed the Republican motherhood movement. Interesting. This is the sketch we've seen several times by Alfred Wad. Might have had a couple shotguns mounted up there. And I wonder if these, I think each generation kind of just remodeled and updated the house. But I don't know if they would have had pocket doors here, just these French doors. But all right, so I'm going to assume these are some original parts of the house. Yeah, original basement windowsill right there. Pretty cool. Oh, all right. Some handmade nails. Some original window muntins. Oh, all right. Well, there you go. Okay. So this is the original joist right here, going back to 1725. It was removed in 2012 by the National Park Service. These old knobs real quick. All right, old lock plates. Some cypress and some pine right there. Okay, we've seen the picture to the right. Got the signal flag up there, and over here another good painting. All right. A couple fallen soldiers. It looks like, okay, maybe they're crossing the creek right there. And there are the Confederates back here behind the earthworks. I don't see any artillery with the Confederates. Yeah, here's Pine Slash, and it says it's a rare surviving example of colonial era vertical plank construction. It looks like the soil was poor. It wasn't good for cultivating tobacco. And it says by 1760s, the Henrys and their 2 young children had left Pine Slash and they had moved into the Hanover Tavern. Wanted to jump in real quick and show you the footage I got of Pine Slash. I ran over there after I finished up here at Rural Plains, and you'll see it's in a private community on private property, so I just stood on the side of the road and just got some quick video. Yeah, here it is. Obviously made of pine, yellow pine, and it was rare for an entire house to be made with yellow pine. Usually the flooring of these houses are made with yellow pine. A few photos I found online. You'll see it used to have a tin roof. And the original portion that goes back to around 1750 is on the left. On the right with the dormer, that was added around 1800. Big old hearth here in the middle. And I'm sure this was on the side here of the original portion. Again, all yellow pine. I'm sure it had a strong scent to it after it was built. Old plank door right here, and quickest and easiest way to make a door. These racks above the door are actually tree branches. And lastly, out of the window, you can see this house here that's called Prospect Hill. And then on the corner here is the Pine Slash Cemetery, so I'll just show it to you real quick. Tally, he was a Woodsman of the World, Old Fraternal Order, and they're based out of Nebraska, actually. Yeah, more tallies. Looks like he lived to be 21. Old school, the skull and crossbones, you don't see that too much anymore. I looked this one up. This is Lemuel Tally. She died at 2 years old, lived 1892 until 1894. And finally the Thomas family, and they died the same year. And it says Sarah, nicknamed Sally. She was just 16 when she married 18-year-old Patrick. Yeah, and they both came from fairly prominent families. Oh, also, there's no 100% proof that Patrick and Sarah got married here. They think she did. And if they did, it probably would have been in this room. They think this would have been the parlor. Yeah, but unfortunately, there's no actual documentation, so... Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and walk the battlefield, walk down, take a look at that cemetery, walk down to the creek, and look at some of the earthworks. Oh, but I also wanted to tell you that Major General Winfield Hancock of the 2nd Corps. He headquartered under the porch. Maybe there, I don't know if it was the front porch, the back porch. I'm assuming there's a room under there, but it just says, yeah, under the porch. And then also, Edwin Shelton, Colonel Edwin Shelton, was right across the creek with the Confederates while his family was in the basement, while it was being shelled by Confederate fire. Yeah, so pretty crazy. But, and while I walk down to the battlefield, quick little story. Unfortunately, Sarah, later in life, suffered from mental illness. Yeah, she suffered from melancholy, and they think it was after the birth of her last child. So when they were living over at Scotchtown, which I have a video on, yeah, she stayed in the basement, sadly, until she passed away, and they think it may have been suicide. No documentation. Unfortunately, the whole thing was kind of hush-hush because Patrick at the time was kind of starting up his political career. But yeah, they think that he kind of cared for her, and he didn't want to send her off to Williamsburg. Big mental, I can't think of the name of it right now, but there was an insane asylum that opened up out there, and of course back then, yeah, they didn't treat the patients very nice. So, but anyway, sad story about Sarah. All right, so let me walk on over, and I think this is going to talk about the enslaved here on the property. And yeah, here's kind of a famous picture you see a lot right here. One guy's chilling out down there at the bottom. Captain Augustus C. Brown of the 4th New York Heavy Artillery. He had written, "Between our works and the house was a semicircle of Negro quarters." And this photo is not of the enslaved that were here at Rural Plains. There is no known photo. But I can tell you that Delphia, Charles, Hester, Daniel, Ezekiel, and Tom were some of the 37 the enslaved that were here on the property. A portion of the Rural Plains slave cabins are faintly visible on the left of this wartime sketch. It says rudimentary structures like the slave cabins and other outbuildings were either reused, dismantled, or allowed to collapse over time. Oh, all right. So that might be a recreation of an old slave cabin. I'll walk down there and look at that. But yeah, just a big field right here. And I think I see the top of a cannon. So maybe the trail goes on down that way. Yeah, I passed the TOTOPOTOMOY Creek driving in. And it looks like it's going to be behind another pecan tree. And pecan trees are popular in this part of the state. I know that the times I've been to Petersburg, I would see them everywhere. Like I say, this might actually be a corn crib. I don't think anybody would live in there with those planks so far apart. And this door's barely hanging on this hinge. Yeah, all right, so got a cannon set up. All right, just tin roof. Yeah, I just wanted to take a look at this. Number 16, PIC 1862. All right, so it looks like this is the start of the trail. There's another plaque right there, so I'll come back. The house is going to be opening in a couple minutes, so I'm going to head back, do that tour, and then, yeah, walk the battlefield. And, yeah, I've got a decent amount of corn growing out here. Cut through here, pump right there. All right, so we've got a China fir growing over here. More magnolias. Pecan tree straight ahead. Oh, and I think that's gonna be a walnut tree down there, digging under fire. All right, here we are, just behind the Shelton House. Union Lieutenant Robert Robertson observed, "It was difficult to keep the men at work under the galling fire which the rebels kept up. They would cast up a shovelful of dirt and then lie down in the wheat until the bullets, which the throwing up of the earth attracted, had passed over. Then labor would resume." All right, so these must be part of the earthworks. I'm not going to walk on them, of course, but all right. Yeah, so we're walking along the earthworks. Okay, cool. Oh, all right, so this is going to be the cemetery. Stop number 3. Oh, I feel like I should have grabbed the map that was in the house. I was thinking there might be kind of little markers, but let's see what graves are down here. Oh, there's Eddie and Sally right here. Holly tree back there. Okay, let me continue on. Oh, and today would actually be TOTOPOTOMOY Creek 161. Today is May 31st, so exactly 161 years after it occurred. And it was a 4 to 5 day, I guess, battle, skirmish. Began May 27th. Union troops arrived. They were stopped, of course, at the TOTOPOTOMOY Creek, where Confederate forces were entrenched on the other side. They had crossed over the creek a couple times over the next couple of days, didn't get anywhere. So June 1st, they decided to bounce around again, head to Cold Harbor. So that's the quick overview. And I guess we're not going to see any more trenches until we get to the other side of the creek. Yeah, I believe they have a bridge where we can walk across and see the Confederate trenches. And it looks like a lot of this is aftergrowth. See a couple loblolly pines. Fairly new bench right there. They probably put that in maybe about 4 years ago when they kind of restored the house, possibly. I don't know. All right, so we are starting to descend. So the creek maybe isn't that much further away. And this is supposed to be a really boggy creek. It's supposed to be a real mess once you get down to it. I'm just keeping an eye out for earthworks. Every time I see an indentation, I'm wondering if that might be something, but well, I spotted something here on the side of the trail. It's nothing that's going to be related to the Civil War, but I see these, some people have walked back here, so yeah, but I don't think it's anything worth checking out. Yeah. All right, well, at least this is a good shortcut. Yeah, like I say, a lot of switchbacks, trail loops around. Kind of a funky tree right there. But let me get back on course. Yeah, and the trail, it's going a little further back than I thought. Yeah, like I say, I keep thinking I see earthworks, but I don't know if I'm seeing anything over there. But yeah, this summer I'm going to try and hit a few spots on the Overland campaign. Also, I'll be going down to Pamplin Park down there, Petersburg, because, oh yeah, trenches right here. Okay, yeah. Okay, so these wrap down for quite a ways. All right. But anyway, I was going to say that a few months ago I visited Appomattox. So I'm kind of anxious to kind of dig into the Overland campaign, and then Petersburg, of course. Well, I'm already pretty familiar with Wilderness and Battle of Spotsylvania Courthouse. It doesn't look like, I don't know what they've got going on right here, but yeah, they want you to stay on the trail. Anyway, so yeah, it shouldn't be too much further. I think I'm seeing a little bit of a drop off, so maybe it's right up here. But I can tell you May 30th, Union General Francis Barlow made it across the creek, was eventually repelled. Did the same thing May 30th, repelled. And again, June 1st, they hooked around, headed to Cold Harbor. Yeah, so okay, these are the power lines. I passed these coming in. So, all right, I guess we're gonna go underneath, keep going downhill. Wow. Yeah, up on a pretty good bluff up here. Some big poles for just a few lines, but all right, keep going. Lots of pines down here. Okay, so here we go. All right, so there's a way marker and I'm seeing a bridge. So the creek is right down there. And yeah, I could imagine that's pretty marshy. I'm already seeing kind of swampland, kind of right down. Well, I don't need to zoom in because we're gonna walk over the bridge, get a good look at it. But let's see what this marker has to say. Attacking the high ground. Lieutenant Robert Robertson again, he wrote in his diary, May 31st, as I went down the slope, I was struck by a bullet and knew no one until I recovered and found myself lying on the ground while my faithful horse was standing over me and licking my face. All right, I thought I was dying and never did the blue sky and green woods and fields look half so beautiful as then. And this pretty much just tells the same thing that I went over. May 30th and 31st, Union soldiers had crossed over the creek but were repelled. And it says that the men fell like sheep. It does say to the left and to the right of here, federal commands were able to cross the creek and establish toeholds. But then again, as I said before, on June 1st, they all headed to Cold Harbor. So I guess that's just maybe for bikers. They don't want bikers to come through there, maybe. Oh, so we're exiting the National Battlefield Park. The property on the other side is maintained by a private historic foundation. Yeah, so yeah, we're leaving the main part of the park. So you see how marshy and nasty that is. In Muddy Creek, it's been raining all week. Well, here it is, guys, TOTOPOTOMOY Creek. Pretty long bridge. And the creek flows between the Chickahominy and the Paul Monkey. Yeah, it's pretty nice down here. You basically, you don't hear any road noise at all back here. Very relaxing. Nice breeze going. Overcast, well, the sun's coming back out right now as we speak. Okay, all right, let's find these Confederate trenches. Follow the arrows. All right, so in the back of a neighborhood, and we're up on this ridge that I passed earlier. Yeah, so forewarning, maybe anybody older who's thinking about coming out. Yeah, the trail is a tad bit challenging. There are some pretty decent uphills. And I'm wondering, are these trenches or are they just, who knows? But I was gonna say that tree doesn't go back to 1864. So yeah, I don't know, that might be a trench. So if these are the entrenchments, Confederates did have a good position up on these heights overlooking the creek. But yeah, I'll just go a little bit further, see if I see anything else. But yeah, great view. And you can see all of these trees I don't see any of these that would be witness trees. And all of this would have been clear, it looks like at the time. I don't see any trees that would have been witness trees that would have been around probably in 1864. So yeah, they would have had a commanding, oh, well, I think we're in the back of a cul-de-sac in this neighborhood. Well, yeah, that was it. And that trail right there, that's not going to be anything. Oh, all right. Well, we walked the entire trail. There you go, guys. And pretty nice neighborhood. Little doggy bags. Well, that's it for the Shelton House in the Totopotomoy Creek battlefield. I'm going to get out of here. As always, guys, like and subscribe. See you on the next one.